Hello, everyone. My name is Bob Booth, and I work for Basware, one of the world's leading invoice automation businesses. Today's webinar covers the topic of Imerys and the transformation of their shared services function, and it's done in conjunction with Imerys and our partner, Fluxim. The subject of finance transformation, specifically in this case, accounts payable automation, is very topical at the moment, and organizations are doing that for three reasons. Firstly, to drive out efficiencies and reduce costs. Also to make processes more reliable, secure and scalable, and also free up talent for further transformation. And finally, to drive regulatory compliance. We're seeing a lot of regulatory compliance in Europe, in Latin America, and in the rest of the world. And so it really is a kind of hot and relevant topic. I'm really delighted to welcome to one of our most important customers, Christoph Boden from Imerys, and also Patrick van Oster from Fluxim, one of Basware's most important partners, to the session today. Let's start with a quick round of introductions. Maybe Christoph, you can start.
Okay, hello everybody. So I'm Christoph Boden, and I'm leading continuous improvement and the shared services that we have at Imerys. And I'm happy to be with you today.
Thank you, Patrick.
Hi everyone, my name is Patrick van Oster. I'm the International Sales Manager at Fluxim, the strategic partner for Basware on their solutions and the integrator for Imerys on this project. Very happy to be here.
Thank you, Patrick. And as I said, my name is Bob Booth, and I've got a background in finance and procurement transformation. So let's set the scene. So can you tell us, Christoph, a little bit about the context of Imerys, the business, and some of its challenges?
Okay, so Imerys is not the company that many people know. It's actually a world leader for mineral-based specialties. We're serving many different industries, ranging from process manufacturing to consumer goods. Well, if you're driving a car, especially a European car, you would be astonished to know that you have many kilos of Imerys stock in your car, probably. So yeah, a lot of things which are around you are actually having our minerals inside.
Yeah, next slide, please.
Go for the next slide. Yeah, so it's a group which has a world presence. We're selling into more than 130 countries with operations in 40 countries, and yeah, as you see, with a good presence on all continents. If we go on the next slide, just some key numbers to help you to size a bit Imerys. So it's a mid-sized group that has sales for around 4 billion. We are 14,000 employees, and also really proud for us and super important for us is that 3/4 of our businesses are actually businesses where we are number one, and yeah, well known and respected for that. Okay, and now if we go more into finance and today's discussions, so we have two shared services, one in North America, in Mexico, and another one in Greece. These shared services have 260 employees. They are serving 17 countries, 3 in North America and 14 in Europe. And this is also part of the challenge that we're going to discuss. We have 10 ERPs with a big project to roll out SAP for HANA, which already is very significant now in Europe and is deploying also elsewhere now. Can you help me with the next slide? So yeah, also to understand from where we are coming, I think it's important to see where we have been, some years ago. But basically, we are a group that has grown by acquisition, like many others. And so you find a typical pattern of many teams, very limited process standardization. Also, not a lot of access to enabling technologies, and I already said it. Actually, in Europe, it was even more than 10 ERPs at one time. So we knew that, you know, we had big projects, and this is where Basware kicked in. Basically, there were two big projects. One was to create shared services, where definitely you need digital workflows. At the same time, we decided to invest in a core model and in a common ERP, that is SAP HANA. And for sure, if you invest in such a, you know, a sophisticated tool, you also want to have, you know, state-of-the-art processes. And you know, one of the elements is that the process of on accounts payable becomes digital. That's also something that we knew a bit before launching this project. So you see that we selected Basware actually in the US in 2017, because we knew that, you know, we would work on a common core model. So it was super important to us to select in the US a tool that, you know, works for the US, but works also for other countries and is able to work with many ERPs. And we'll come to this. Well, one of the challenges was that we had then to roll it out massively in Europe. Actually, all the countries, 40 countries, were done in almost 6 months. And this is where we also needed, you know, some bandwidth and some expertise, which came with Fluxim.
No, so thank you, Christophe. It's a really good sense of the sort of size and scale of the business and the complexity around organization, around processes, and around number of ERPs. Mm-hmm. So thank you for that. So to carry out the project, you turned to actually a combination of Fluxim and Basware. Can you tell us how you went through the process of making that choice?
Well, as I said, I think what was important to us is, well, first to have a tool where we know that, you know, it has an easy connectivity to any ERP, because this is our starting point. It needed to be also a tool that enables us to have, you know, adapted workflows. The interface, or let's say the screen for the users, was also important, you know, to be user-friendly. And this is what we found with Basware.
And the selection of Fluxim in parallel, how did that come about?
Well, it was Basware who recommended us Fluxim, because indeed, so the deployment in the US was done with Basware. When we then said, okay, now we need in 6 months to do so many countries, that's where you need an integrator, obviously. And what was important when we then finally confirmed that it's Fluxim is that we had, you know, someone who knows Basware, but is also a third party who can advise and also say, you know, what works well and what doesn't, and to give you some advice on, you know, how to adapt the tool to your needs.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent the last 25 years working in sort of system integration, and it's definitely helpful to have kind of an honest broker partner alongside you, which is one of the reasons why we have a partner first strategy. Mm-hmm. So no pressure then, Patrick, in terms of the expectations from Fluxim in terms of their global deployment and all the complexity. How did you go about sort of setting and then meeting expectations, maybe even beating expectations of Imerys?
Right. So first of all, we fully realize that Fluxim is not exactly a household name like the Accentures or KPMGs of this world. So just 2 sentences on that subject. Fluxim is a French headquartered global system integrator. We have a global footprint, and we are a long-standing partner for Basware. What sets us apart from all of the other system integrators that are involved in S2P solutions is that we're the only one who is focused exclusively on S2P. It's all we do. We're a one-stop shop for all things procurement, as Christophe indicated, from advisory through all the way through solution selection to implementation and beyond. And we collaborate with Basware as a GSI, and as Bob indicated, we've been ranked for several years now as their top integration partner. Now, that being said, back to our project at hand. So, as Christophe said, the project was initially started with the core model in the US, But when the time came to deploy across the EU with many different countries, each with their own rules and regulations, etc., combined with a very compressed time frame, the decision was made to call in the experts to help manage the rollout. The initial deployment in Europe consisted of the duplication of the core model and adapting it to the EU market, which was then rolled out across the various entities. With the 6-month time frame, it was clear that there was a need to execute well as quickly. So we were able to leverage our in-house expertise around ERP integrations as well, considering, as was said earlier, there were 14 different ERPs or instances of ERPs that all needed to be connected to from the Basware solution. So this, along with the deployed core model, allowed us to complete this faster rollout, which only took 6 months. We came in on time and on budget, like good partners do, and we are able to support this rollout across borders wherever the client needed us to go.
Super. And you talked about Patrick, the sort of Christoph talked to Christoph about the complexity of the systems you're connecting to and the need to be adaptive workflows. What were the benefits that Imerys could receive as a result of that?
Well, one thing that I mentioned already is user experience. So clearly, when you are coming from a company that was still, processing invoices based on paper, those who need to validate see a clear difference. It all happened also at COVID times, so during the lockdown. So obviously, all of a sudden, it was not only a new tool, but it was just a super important tool to continue the business. But then on top of that, what we are gaining with such a tool is full visibility on where we are. So you see the backlog, you know where the backlog is. Is it at an accountant or a validation step? You are able then to go for root cause analysis on, what is happening, what is hampering somebody to do the next step. So it's, as I said, more visibility and then the capacity at the end to improve the process, thanks to this visibility and the analysis you do afterward.
Yeah, so I guess you're in a position to be kind of more actively manage your payment profile with suppliers.
Absolutely.
What about? I guess I touched upon regulation. We all see regulations are coming in Europe. How does that fit into your plans and your planning?
Well, I think there are two components. So there's a very obvious one. So there are countries which are changing the rules, the digital rules, let's say. So like Italy or even Spain, who are requiring a special flow for the invoices. France will go there soon. So it's indeed very helpful to have it with Basware, a partner who who's well, it's mandatory for them to be compliant, and you just become compliant through the tool. So it helps a company like us clearly. And also, we can speak about compliance, but also about sustainable development. On-time payment is very important, and this is where it's important to be able to to know where we are and where the invoices are versus their due date, etc.
Yeah, I guess with that, and also it's kind of the regulation's quite dynamic, right? So recently the Polish mandate moved as well, so it's helpful to have someone who's kind of worrying about the timing on those things. And I guess if with the benefit of hindsight, Christoph, if you kind of look back and you're doing this again, what are some of the pitfalls you might have done differently, or what are some of the challenges that you could have avoided?
I think what one should not underestimate is that yes, a new tool is change management internally. This everybody had in mind, but it's also outside, meaning with your vendors. Your vendors need to see the benefit of a new tool. And it's not always obvious for everybody that sending into a tool will help them to be paid on time. So that's typically something that we underestimated at the beginning. So at the beginning, we just did mailing actions to explain the new rules, but the reality is that you need to follow up with the vendors and speak with them, and sometimes you need to convince them. And yeah, that's I think the main point. The other point is now internally, and especially versus our internal customers, make it simple for them. So don't have too many workflows. Make it easily be understandable by anybody, because otherwise sometimes you get aging invoices just because the people don't know what they need to do.
It's a challenge, and I guess as you've also standing up your shared service center at the same time, Christophe, at the same time as you were implementing new services. Have you seen that the KPIs you measure have evolved as a result of using a tool like Basware, or maybe has the Basware solution been help you to inform what you should measure?
Well, it's a chicken and the egg question. But clearly, yes. Having a tool that helps us to measure, helps us then to improve ourselves, and then also to standardize, streamline, and automate the process. And yes, this is typically what you are aiming for when you are in a shared service, and what we finally obtained.
And Patrick, for you, I mean, what you obviously your company does many of these projects over time. What are some of the things you're seeing that's evolving in the market? What are some of the drivers that are happening now from your side for invoice automation in Europe?
Well, we're definitely seeing there's two trends that converge together in favor of Basware, if I can put it like that. Is first of all, there's an increasing setup of country by country e-invoice mandates. France is leading the way, Germany is following, Poland already has it, Italy already has it, and so the compliance factor becomes more and more important. Therefore, moving away from old technologies and paper invoices to a streamlined and inherently compliant AP automation solution is becoming a key strategic initiative and a must-have for enterprises above a certain size. And in some countries for all enterprises. And then the other one is that there's a distinct trend in the marketplace to shift away from end-to-end S2P solution suites back to specialized best-in-class providers, which again speaks in favor of Basware, which is the de facto global leader in AP automation and invoice compliance. So those two things together, I think, are the key trends we're seeing in the marketplace.
Yeah, and just in terms of attendees to the session, feel free to put any questions into the chat, which I will field. Otherwise, we'll keep going. I guess just to build on your comment, Patrick, I guess we're seeing as Basware, we're seeing quite a lot of Coopers who've invested in maybe an Ariba solution or a Cooper solution, and actually still finding there are some challenges in terms of making payables work. We're also finding as a really big trend, I guess that the other really big trend in Europe and the rest of the world is moving towards S4. And some of those customers are also saying actually, well, the technologies that sit in those systems are still not completely fit for purpose, right? So I guess Christophe, coming back to you, if there's someone in a senior person in financial services looking to think about invoice transformation, what would the first steps be when you were looking to do that now? How would you go about bringing your organization on? What are some of the things you'd think through?
Well, it's highly dependent on the stage where you are in the journey.
Yeah.
We started at at one point. Others will be already more advanced. I would start from the pain points of our customers. So I'm speaking about the Intel customers, so the business. And if you still have this, late payment is one. And then analyze the root causes of why you are paying late. So one of the explanation is sometimes that the invoice just arrived too late, and this is where a tool like Basware can help.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I reflect on the conversations we're having now with head of shared service centers, they've got a few challenges that are all kind of coalescing. They absolutely have some sort of performance challenges. So they kind of quite often they've run quite a lot of value out of their shared service function, often by offshoring, but not necessarily done much to kind of modernize the process. They've got the challenge of seeing legislation coming along and providing a challenge, increasing challenges in terms of trying to be the customer of choice, or supplier of choice to their customers, and at the same time they're trying to transform their function whilst also run their function, and that might be for across all of their different finance towers. So we're finding that kind of organizations are investing in a tool like Basware to sort of free up the talent, the profit and the cash to sort of reinvest elsewhere. So it's kind of almost like payables is almost one of those areas where it's hard to imagine why it's not been automated. You've got structured information in purchase orders, structured information in invoices, and yet somehow we still had a situation where there are many people in shared service functions. I guess just to close then, I mean, what do you see as the evolution of this this function in the next 5 years, Christophe? Can you see an evolution where AI could take the function even further? What's your sense of it, or will there always be a degree of human interaction? What's your sense of 5 years out? Right?
No, of course we will need to adapt to new solutions and automate further. You spoke about AI, so one solution that we at this stage don't have but are investigating is what we call Smart PDF, where indeed there's kind of machine learning about how to read the invoice to enhance the OCR. So indeed, so there are still many things that we can do to run these things smoother and make them easier for everybody, and as you said, to increase automation.
Yeah, no, and do you find? But I'll come back and comment. Do you find, by the way, that using a tool such as Basware helps you with workload management as well between your teams? So is it something where you can definitely move capacity around? Yeah.
No, definitely. So it helps to to have the visibility who has a certain sum of backlog and workload. It helps us then to select the priorities, to eventually adapt the who will do what, and to redispatch resources on a constant basis. And this is where you need some transparency about the backlog, and this is what a tool like Basware is giving you.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. You mentioned Smart PDF, just for everyone's benefit. That's an OCR scanning tool we have that allows you to scan the invoice, identify what sits where, and then use some machine learning to be able to identify where fields sit in the wrong place. So make sure that you can match kind of individual line item levels, not only matching the line item, the total, also checking the sort of description's accurate and the quantities are accurate and the values accurate. So it starts to take that highly efficient process and take that down one more level. There's also an equivalent as well, which is smart coding, which also helps you to post no PO invoices as well. So just any thoughts from you, Patrick, in terms of this evolution towards AI?
Yeah, sure. So there are two. In my mind, there are two key components, right, to Basware's offering. One is the automation aspect, and the other one is the the compliance aspect, and both are growing in importance as the regulations change, as e-invoice legislation gets passed in more and more countries and so on. But on the automation side, Basware has shown itself to be a true leader in this space between Smart PDF and Smart Coding. Smart PDF is in fact designed to replace legacy OCR solutions because it's AI-driven and much more accurate. And that combined with Smart Coding, which is designed to correctly recognize and code non-PO invoices, the percentage of automatically coded and matched and processed invoices goes up dramatically. So we see customers with vast numbers of invoices across a very complex landscape, seeing that all of a sudden 65, 70 or more % of all of their invoices are becoming completely touchless. And that is a massive benefit. So if you add that to the compliance component, then I think the future is bright for this type of solutions. In terms of lessons learned from the Imerys project, for us, even though we've been doing this for 20 years, every day is a school day. And things we specifically took away from Imerys was, first of all, our ability to deploy this quickly and at the same time cementing a durable relationship with Imerys as a happy customer, which is kind of a key thing to be in our line of work. And then also rolling out this solution to 14 ERP instances, that also helped stretch our integrator team a little bit and took them into new learnings. So that's pretty much where we're at.
Yeah, and so a couple of questions then from the audience for you, Christoph. So one from Sarah, and it's quite tricky, right, in terms of sharing details of your business. But any particular examples of benefits for the finance teams, or how suppliers or customers could benefit, and just maybe bring to life kind of how they interact? Do they log into a portal or EDI or other methods? So maybe you can bring to life the impact on the personas of finance team and suppliers. You talked a little bit about your users, but maybe you can just color that in a little bit more.
So we don't have a lot of vendors using EDI apart from the Nordics, but that's where Basware is coming from. So this was an easy one. What was for us important was to use as much as possible as ePDF, because well, it's more cost efficient, and then also the let's say the quality and the process flow is better, which then goes into the direction of what Patrick was calling zero-touch invoices. Mm-hmm. So super important to us. Yeah, and clearly also super important for us is the acceleration of the cycle time. So the time between the moment where the invoice arrives into the company and the time it's ready to be paid. So that's one of the key KPIs that we are monitoring, because this also shows the effort that people put into some invoices. So typically, well, Sarah will probably know it, a PO invoice takes much less time than a non-PO invoice. But when you say this to the people, sometimes they are not convinced. When you show them that the cycle time is 3 times the same, then all of a sudden people start to realize that their guys are, and I'm not speaking about finance people, but business people, are spending time in validation, coding, recoding, revalidating things that we should avoid.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you touched on 2 things that were certainly really important for a couple of our, for many of our customers. So cycle times, not only they imply level of effort, but they also allow them to either avoid late payment penalties, or, and in some industries, take advantage of early payment discounts. Mm-hmm. And the no touch is also really important because it's another real measure of lack of involvement. Sarah also talks about sort of security aspects. So what has that helped you to be more confident in terms of the security of the process? What impact has it had?
If you want to be efficient on a tool like Basware, you need to work on your master data. So I wouldn't say that security, was increased directly by the presence of Basware, but by, if you want to push the tool and use it fully, you need to work on your master data, which at the end is increasing your A, compliance, B, security.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've got a question in terms of for one of our audience in terms of smart BDF. It is on the roadmap, and we are deploying it in terms of smart level matching. We are deploying it to some of our customers. So certainly reach out to us if you're interested in an accelerated access, and we can talk about the timing here. Okay, well I think that's probably the questions we have. So I'd like to take time to say thank you, Christophe. Thanks for sharing the story and being open about the journey, and also from your side, Patrick, thank you for attending and taking part. I appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
The session is recorded and will be available for replay. So we'll make sure it's available and sent out to the people who've registered.
Oh, we got a late question coming, I think.
Okay, yeah. So the question there, which is, what is your touchless and invoicing percentage and average cycle time in days? That sounds quite detailed. Maybe I don't know whether you're in a position to be able to answer that, Christophe, before we sign off.
We're far from being where we want to be.
Yeah, but far from where you were originally, I guess, as well, right?
Well, so, yeah, it's all again. It totally depends on where you started your journey. But what you need to realize is that, so Imerys, I said it, is many plans, many vendors. We're not in, let's say, automotive industry with less vendors and your capacity, to impose processes. So so we're still very far from, having 70% of touchless. But it has started to become significant. We're around 25%.
I think that's really important, actually, as and it's probably quite a good way to sign off, as we're working with our customers and indeed working with partners through like Fluxim on, where are you now and what's a sensible level of target and ambition. Understanding where you fit into the supply chain and the dynamics of your industry is really important, right? Your ability to build a radically reduced number of suppliers or otherwise. So once again, thank you for taking the time, Christophe and Patrick. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Many thanks.
Everyone. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.